Hello, my dear friend. Are you ready to test your morality, your very humanity? Imagine yourself in a devastated world. Everything you once knew has changed. Cities in ruins, empty streets, and unsettling silence. You are crossing this lonely world, carrying only a backpack full of memories and hopes. The sky is heavy, and you feel a coldness that seems to come from within, from the absence of life. It's been days since you last ate, and the hunger is gnawing at you, burning your stomach and blurring your vision. So, during your journey for survival, in the midst of chaos and emptiness, you find something precious. A single can of food, one of the rare few that hasn't spoiled. The amount of food in the can would barely feed one person, but it would at least take the edge off the hunger, offering only temporary relief for the agonizing emptiness in your body. The sound of the wind whistling through the deserted streets and the noise of your own footsteps are your only companions. You feel the weight of solitude, and each passing day seems to steal a little more of your determination. When you find the can for a moment, you feel a glimmer of hope. But that hope is quickly put to the test. As you look at the can, something makes you stop. You hear a faint sound, a dry cough. Behind a wrecked car, you see a stranger. A man clearly weakened, starving, with hopeless eyes. He looks at you and at the can in your hand. You know that this meal could mean the difference between life and death, for you or for him. Thoughts start to arise. He's weak. Even if I give him the food, he might not be able to keep going. You feel the weight of this cold logic. The world is cruel now, and every decision has to be practical. Maybe he doesn't have enough strength. Maybe this food would just prolong his suffering. On the other hand, something inside you screams that this isn't the whole truth. He's weak, and he definitely needs this food more than I do. You see the desperate expression on his face and feel the urgency of the situation. He is weaker, more vulnerable. Maybe this is your chance to make a difference for someone other than yourself. You remember all the times you wished to find someone just to not feel so alone. You remember nights when you thought that maybe survival wasn't worth it without a greater purpose. And now, in front of you, is someone who clearly needs help. But helping him would mean putting yourself at risk. It would mean giving up your own chance of survival. This is where you need to make a choice. Your decision will determine not only the course of your survival, but also who you will become in this devastated world. Each option carries its consequences, and the weight of those consequences cannot be underestimated. You find yourself faced with an impossible choice: abandon the man and eat the only can of food, ensuring your own survival for another day, or help the stranger by giving him the can and risking your own life. Each option carries consequences that will shape who you are. A solitary survivor, or someone willing to make a sacrifice for another. Then, you decide to eat the food, abandon the man, and continue your journey. You walk away from the stranger, your hands trembling as you open the can. Each spoonful feels like a challenge. The weight of your decision presses on your conscience. You try to push the image of the starving man out of your mind, but it won't leave. You feel a knot in your stomach, not just from hunger, but from guilt. Each bite you take seems to carry the desperate gaze of the stranger, and your mind fills with questions. Did I make the right choice? What if he had a chance? What if that food could have been his turning point for survival? Maybe he could have found a group. Maybe he could have helped someone in the future. And now all of that is gone because of my decision. These thoughts haunt you, bringing back images of the man, collapsed and powerless, as you move forward. The guilt is a weight that won't lift, a shadow that follows you with every step. Your throat is dry, and the taste of the food mixes with the bitterness of uncertainty. The burden of the decision is not just mental. Your body feels heavier, as if each step is harder, as if the choice drained part of your life force. The food gives you strength, and you move on. Days later, you find a small group of survivors. They are well organized, and you join them. But one night, as everyone shares stories of what they did to survive, you feel empty. You realize that although you survived, something was lost. The ability to feel human. Your survival cost you your empathy. You try to avoid thinking about that man. But in your dreams, he appears, his empty gaze, his dry cough echoing in your mind. Even surrounded by other survivors, you feel isolated, knowing that your choice cost more than just a can of food. It cost you a part of who you were. One night around the campfire, as the other survivors share stories and laughter, you remain silent. They share their few resources, showing compassion for one another, and you notice the stark contrast between their solidarity and your own choice. The sense of belonging that could have eased your burden never comes, and all that remains is the weight of your decision, keeping you on the fringes, unable to reconnect. During the day, small details bring the guilt back. Seeing someone share a piece of bread, hearing a cough in the distance, or even the empty gaze of another person. Your mind tries to invent arguments to make you feel better, but they are all in vain. Or, you decide to give the food to the stranger. You approach the man and silently hand him the can. He looks at you with tears in his eyes, surprised and grateful. You place a hand on his shoulder in a gesture of support, and he gives a faint smile. He murmurs a nearly inaudible, "Thank you," and you exchange a look that says more than words ever could. You sit beside him as he eats, watching each bite bring a bit of color back to his face. At one point, he extends the can to you, offering what remains, and you simply shake your head, refusing with a smile. This small gesture creates a bond of trust, something rare in this devastated world. You watch as he eats slowly, each bite seeming to bring a bit of life back to his frail body. You exchange glances of understanding, and for a moment you feel that maybe you aren't so alone. You feel hunger, weakness, but also something you haven't felt in a long time: connection. The stranger decides to accompany you, and together, you continue the journey. Even though you are hungry, you feel that the solidarity strengthens you in a way that no food ever could. Days later, you find a group of survivors who offer shelter, and thanks to the stranger, you are accepted. The food is gone, but you have gained an ally. During the journey, the stranger shares stories from his past, from the happy moments before the collapse, and you share yours as well. You recall sunny afternoons with your family, the laughter during a picnic in the park, and the small joys that once seemed so ordinary, but now feel like a distant dream. These moments of reminiscing bring a mix of nostalgia and strength, creating a deeper bond between you. You share what little you have. And despite the hunger, you feel something you haven't experienced in a long time: hope. Solidarity creates a strength that can't be explained, a sense that maybe, together, there is a chance. When you reach the group of survivors, the stranger speaks for you, telling them how you saved his life by helping him. The group welcomes you both, and that night, around a campfire, you realize you made the right decision. You are hungry, yes, but you feel that you have gained something far more valuable than a simple meal: purpose, a reason to keep fighting. So here we are, my dear friend. One choice led to isolation, the other to connection. But let me ask you, which path would you take if you were truly there in the midst of that chaos? In a world where survival is the only goal, how far are you willing to go? The choice between surviving alone or sacrificing yourself for another says a lot about who we are. What is more important, being alive or feeling alive? Just like a solitary flame can be extinguished by the wind, but many flames together can keep a fire burning. Our choices define whether we are just lonely shadows or a light that can illuminate the darkness. Perhaps the last meal is not just about food, but about who you choose to be, even when the world seems to have lost all humanity. Even in the most extreme situations, our choices shape not only our destiny, but also our identity. What would you choose to do? Is it worth surviving without humanity? Or even in the midst of chaos, can we still find ways to reconnect and reclaim what makes us truly human?